Well, I gave this comment to 1410 in 1410.2 to 1410.1, of course. Well, I was in the situation of yesterday. I committed to buy some spectacles, glasses, replacement ones, and it came to rather more than I was willing to spend. It came to $750 basically, and I thought the purchase was reasonable at somewhere around $350, perhaps as high as $400. Two pairs of spectacles, it was a special offer and all the rest of it. And I've been thinking for some time I'm going to need to replace glasses. They're fundamental, your sight. The glasses I had were broken in a couple of ways. Not too obviously, but, they're getting old. I'd had them for 4 years, something like that. And getting a bit shabby, if you like. The protective coating is a bit patchy and things like that. But anyway, a few faults of them. But it was more than, it's quite significant. It was 750 of what's my current savings, possibly at the most, very most, 6,000. The 700 of 6,000 is, getting on for 10 or 12%, something like that, the guess, of what my savings are. And I'm on a minimum income, state pension. But I'm not, of course, am I? I've got a wealth of experience of thinking about God as Dad and seeing His loving kindness in my life and to life around me. So I have a greater perception of security than perhaps many people have. If you like, my wealth, my security is less tangible than the man with $1 million in the bank, and his own house and things like that. Do you see? Less tangible, but perhaps more effective. More of a blessing. And of course, I don't think just perhaps, I think certainly. Because I've invested a great deal of myself into, if you like, this understood relationship with God. So I can seem to take risks rather more easily than some other people, certain types of risks, like giving certain things away, risking certain relationships, risking certain situations, like what the other people would see as loss, I just see as change, and God almost certainly opening up something wonderfully new, even though I can't necessarily see it yet. Do you see, I have a wealth that's greater than a bank balance that daren't be used, because that's my future security. Do you see, you can be so concerned about the future that you can't use your savings. I've never saved. God's just given me a surplus. I've never successfully saved. But, you can be in a situation where you can't use your surplus because of fears about the future. In the end, you can't spend any of it because I'm going to need this for hopefully a long old age, but it may have great needs, and I'm going to need this money. So you're eternally sterilizing. Is it that? No, I mean, you, stopping access to your savings because of fear of greater need in the future. And your life becomes, well, a life without using your savings. Even when you're faced with a hardship, you just can't bring yourself to spend your savings to meet this hardship. So the savings stay in the bank, which you would leave to your children or your grandchildren, but in fact get spent on probably funding your rest home, your elderly person care when you get there. Do you see, it's a man with bigger and better barns, isn't it? You foolish man. Whose will this belong to? You could have, it was pointless sticking it in bigger and better barns. For who? Now that was just rationality from a worldly point of view, wasn't it? I mean, Jesus is not speaking spiritually there, but he's pointing out that there's an obvious truth there. You could have spent it and enjoyed it. Instead, you kept storing it up in barns. To what point? I mean, especially if you don't really value your kids and your grandchildren and so on. And what was the point in saving millions for them when they didn't give a damn about you? I'm overdressing the story now, but you get the drift of what I mean, don't you? So, we're building up a house on the rock, and that's your security. Your rock is how you feel about your security with God, as opposed to your security on worldly things. Your cash, your house, the things you belong to, the societies you belong to, the wife, and so on. All of which can vanish. All of which can vanish. Is your security in that? Or do you see it simply as, well, this is what God's given me, and I'm trusting Him? How are you better living? What, in a very practical sense, brings you the most happiness? Meaning to life, of course. Right. What is your meaning to life? You may say, well, I haven't really got one. I just live. Well, you're going to be very unhappy doing that. You don't want unhappiness, do you? No. Right. Well, learn of me. In the case of Jesus, hear me. Those who have ears, let them hear. I come to bring life eternal. What do I think this turns on? Seeing God as your Heavenly Father, your Dad. You get that right. And I've finished the work that God sent me to do. Goodness, that seems a bit trivial. No, it's not. Taste and see. When you really see things as the consequence of God's love and care for you, your Dad, your God, all powerful, all loving, of you, truly caring, perhaps you realize they're your true values, and your life will start to be steered accordingly. You will have life eternal. Bless you. Simple as that, isn't it? Thank you, Dad.